Welcome to another edition of the Business and Personal Podcast, where we bring you closer to the people that you do business with. And today we have a great story of a new business that's launching slowly but steadily, and excited about future growth. So we're joined today by Aaron Hulett. He is the owner and founder of P39 Adventure Gear. And he's going to kind of tell us all about where he's at with this and what he has to offer. So first of all, Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to share about what we're doing with our company.
So this podcast is the business and the personal podcast. So we always like to get a better idea of our guests and your background and kind of what got you to this point. I think people are always interested in hearing that. So tell us a little bit about Aaron and how you got to this point.
Well, I've been a lifelong adventurer, whether it's elk hunting out west or doing mountain bike racing for years, or hiking, or whatever it may be, water sports. Well, I live in Michigan here, so we have a lot of water sports here as well. So I've been doing that for years, and then I never worked in that industry. I've always worked in the financial world. And, a couple of years ago, I maybe we'll talk about this, but a couple of years ago, I had an idea, and then that idea kind of got some legs, and here we are. Now we have P39 Adventure Gear.
So tell us about P39. You converged all these different pieces of knowledge and passions that you have into this business that you're formulating. That's the best way to go about formulating a business, is combining your passions and things you're knowledgeable about. But what can people expect with P39 and what you have to offer?
Well, that's a good question. And it probably starts with how we started, because that's probably the easiest way to answer that question. And we founded this company for two reasons. One of them was I was just sick of buying crappy gear. I mean, stuff that didn't work in the field. And then, it said it was waterproof, but it really wasn't. All your gear would get wet or whatever the case was. And then over time, I realized, a friend of mine told me a saying, buy once, cry once. Everyone's probably heard a similar version of that saying. Is, basically one of my friends at one point said, when are you going to stop buying this junk? Just buy one thing, buy it right up front, buy something good, and be done with it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And so that kind of changed my mindset on not only what I was buying, but how I was interacting with that product too. And so it kind of started a series of events of everything I bought from that point forward. I really started to look at not just the quality of it, but the design as well. And I really struggled to find designs in good areas. One area was a bicycle cover, because at this time I was racing a lot in my mountain bike. I was traveling all over the Midwest, and I couldn't find a cover that would go over my bicycle that was real high quality, that actually worked. There's a bunch of cheapies made, but so I kept waiting for one, and finally I finally just, one never came on the market. So finally I just said, well, we're going to design it. And that product's coming out in the next couple months here. So we're really excited about that. But the second reason we started the company, and actually it's in our name, Ryan, P39, is as a Bible verse, and it's honor the Lord with your wealth and the first fruits of all you do and all you produce. And that was, my wife and I have always been really big on giving back to our community, giving back not only of our time, but of our finances when we can, and just really making that a priority in our lives. And we thought, what, why don't we combine these two things together? What if we could create a company that would give back to these nonprofits? There's several nonprofits that we're super passionate about, and we can create great gear at the same time. People can go to a company and they don't have to, if they buy gear at our company, they don't have to worry about the quality or the durability of it. So that's my long-winded answer, man.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Giving is undefeated, man. That's a good business model to start with right there for sure. And, before we recorded, you were talking about just slow and steady growth with this, which is a smart way to go about it, rather than jumping into it like crazy right off the bat. And I think your financial background probably helps a little bit with that mindset and keeping you grounded financially with it. But give people an idea of what your hope is to eventually grow this into.
Yeah, our hope is to grow it into a company that you can get the bulk of the gear you need. And what I mean by that is, of all the things, I know I can use myself as an example. Like a lot of people that do outdoor activities, they don't do just one thing. And often you find companies that focus on one thing. I know in the cycling world, which I lived in for many years because I've raced for so long, I would go to certain websites because they were really good at certain things. But the fact of the matter is, most of the gear that I have I use with probably 70 or 80% of the things I do. So if I have a good pack, I can use that in most things I do. I need good rain gear. Good socks, like wool, warm socks are really important. So we don't want to be a specialty retailer. We want to give people the general gear they need for most things that they do, because a lot of us outdoor enthusiasts, we don't like just one thing. We like to do a lot of things. So that's kind of what we want to specialize in. And the gear that we're choosing is all tested by myself and our team. We've got a team of 4 or 5 gear testers, and it's got to meet a pretty high standard. As a matter of fact, our first aid kits that we just put on our website recently, I put a list together of everything the kits had to meet. And I really had trouble finding a company that supplied it, but we found one. We were going to build our own. And that's going to be the case with all of our products moving forward. If we can't find a supplier or a company that provides exactly what we think the consumer needs, then we'll just build it ourselves. So just like the bike cover we're building. So expect to have, good coats from us, base layer, socks, first aid equipment, like good first aid equipment too. A lot of people don't know much about that. But you need a good splint, you need some type of wrap, and you need a basic first aid kit. That's all stuff that we're going to provide. There's other things too, but that gives you just a teaser. Their clothing line is just starting. There'll be more of that coming out later this year too. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, what a great way to go about it, right? Just kind of perfect a few things at a time, knock those down, and then move on to the next thing. And then the next thing you know, over the course of time, you have a long line of products that are tried and true and tested on your end. And a lot of people that I've had on this podcast have maybe worked for other companies or experienced other things and kind of seen flaws and figured out ways that they could make it better or make it more perfect. And it kind of sounds like you're on that same path as well.
Yeah. Yep. That's well said.
And possibly here before long, you're going to be on the other end of the microphone. You're looking into launching a podcast too. That's another thing that you have coming down the pipe. So what kind of content can people expect to see from your podcast?
Yeah, we're super excited about the podcast. So myself and a co-host are going to be putting on the podcast. It's called Unbound Adventures. And really, we're going to talk about just great stories. We're going to interview people that have overcome odds. We're going to talk to people that maybe are athletes. And then the thing that I'm most excited about is it's one thing to get professionals on there, maybe pro athletes, that kind of thing. But we have a whole series that we want to do on just everyday people that are doing super cool, amazing things with their lives. And we want to highlight that. One of the things our company's about, you'll see it, it's right on our homepage, but our company's really about shutting down the noise. And I would say P39 is an adventure gear company. That's what we sell. That's our product. But really, it's a lifestyle brand. We want to get people to shut their devices down, shut these phones down, leave them in the car and go on a hike, go on a mountain bike ride, jump on your motorcycle and just take off for a day or 5, whatever you want to do. And that's this podcast is going to highlight just living an amazing and awesome life and doing it through adventures.
It's really so true. I find myself chained to my computer all day with what I do. And sometimes I'm like, I just need to pull myself out, walk the dog for a half an hour. And just that half an hour can make the biggest difference in my mindset for the rest of the day. That's
so true. It's just it's like a little reset, and and we're just, I think all of us, I say we, but all of us are just so, we're just, there's so much technology and there's just, our schedules are so busy. It's easy to get caught up on that wheel, so to speak, or on that hamster wheel, and just kind of doing the same thing every day over and over. And then sometimes a week or a month or longer will go by and like, man, I haven't taken any time off. I haven't done this. I just feel so overworked and stressed. And that's why on our podcast too, I should kind of let you know what we're going to highlight on there. Our company's about, we have 5 pillars our company's about. They're really our core values. Our core values are very different than most companies. A lot of companies are like integrity, creativity, and things like that. Well, our core values don't apply to what happens inside our walls, just inside our walls, I should say. It's not really about growing a company in that sense. Our core values are community, relationships, fitness, responsibility, and faith. And our podcast is going to highlight one or more of those with each guest, someone that's excelling in one of those areas. And that's what we want to bring to the forefront in this podcast too, is not only great stories, but stories that can help the listener have some impact in their life and maybe make a change in their community, or maybe their relationship with God, all the good stuff, maybe get back in shape.
I love all of that. And yeah, I mean, a podcast that can appeal to a wide range of people is always a great idea. And I know you're going to approach that just like you approach the business. You're not going to just jump into it until you're fully ready to do it. But when can people expect to maybe start to see some of that content?
That'll be midsummer. Yeah, in my mind, it's July. I don't want to say July for sure, but that's our goal is to have it out by then. So we're working on it. We've got the team put together almost, and then we've got a lot of the content. You would know this, Ryan, better than anyone, but a lot of people think, oh, we just turn the mic on, we start doing a podcast, and there's so much work behind the scenes if you want to do it right. So
that's why so many podcasts fail pretty quickly, because people realize what the grind is. They weren't prepared for it ahead of time, but you will be. You're doing the research, and you're not going to launch till you're ready, and then you already have a wide range of topics planned. So it feels like you have a lot of passion behind the project. So I expect it to flourish once you get up and running, for sure.
Wow, I appreciate. Yeah, we're excited.
So for the people that are still listening, certainly they're interested in the gear that you're going to be selling here. So who would you say would appeal most to the products that you're going to have to sell?
Yeah, the general outdoor enthusiast is really who our target customer is. Someone who likes to do a wide range of things. Maybe you like to walk. Maybe you're a hiker. Maybe you like to ride motorcycles. I love jumping on my motorcycle and packing the tent on the back and just taking off for 2 or 3 days. Any type of adventure you want to do, big or small, we want to have the general gear for you to do, most of what you need in most occasions.
Fantastic. So just to kind of close here, Aaron, how can people find you now that the website is up and running and they can buy some products? How do they get a hold of you and learn more about what you have right now?
Yeah, our website is p39adventuregear.com. So pretty simple. Just go to that P39 Adventure Gear, and that'll take you right to our website. And then sign up for our email list on there too. And we don't just send a bunch of junk email, but we're going to send very relevant emails. When we launch new products, you're going to get to see the new stuff. If there's any specials or discounts, we don't blow your email up. So, with a bunch of useless junk, it's all good stuff. And every once in a while, we're going to throw some good tidbits in there having to do with those 5 pillars that we have too. So it'll be a little different approach to staying in touch with our customers. So I think if someone's watching this and they want anything at all to do with adventure or getting outside, jump on our email list. You're going to love it.
Fantastic, Aaron. So again, thanks for joining us. I'm sure you're very busy as you're trying to get this whole business and podcast, everything launched. But very interesting in what you're doing here. And hopefully we can have you on down the road for an update as things continue to progress.
Great. Thanks for having me, Ryan. I really appreciate it.